So as we look at our last lab of the semester, we want to look at the culmination of skills and content that we have learned throughout the semester. And this includes our understanding of the scientific method, looking at how we do hypothesis testing, how we're able to observe natural phenomena and ask questions about that natural phenomenon, how we design experimentation so that we can gather data that later we can analyze. And then based on that analysis, what conclusions can we make and what type of decisions will we make based upon those conclusions. So for this lab, we're going to be looking at ecological research. And when we talk about ecology, what we're looking at is the study of interactions and the environment. And when we talk about ecology, specifically for this lab, we're going to be looking at an aspect of ecology called community ecology. We define communities as looking at the interaction of the biotic components within an environment. And recall that biotic components are the living components. So we're looking at how living organisms interact with each other. This sometimes is very important when it comes to our ability to manage ecosystems. So let me give you two examples of why this is important. The first example is here in Florida, and that is looking at the Everglades ecosystem. As many of you who may be native Floridians are aware that we're having a big problem with the Burmese pythons in the Everglades ecosystem. And this is an organism that's having a big impact on the native species within Everglades, whether they are outcompeting native snake species or whether they are decimating populations of mammals and birds and other reptiles is of concern to us. And so as a community ecologist, these are individuals that will go into that ecosystem, look at how those organisms are interacting with each other, and therefore gather enough data so that we can make good management decisions about how to maintain the health of that ecosystem. Remember that although we forget sometimes, we humans are a part of the ecosystem. So all the things that we think about that run our society comes from the ecosystem. And so having good, healthy ecosystem also benefits us. Another example we want to look at is Yellowstone National Park. And so around the 1930s, we basically eliminated wolves within the Yellowstone ecosystem. And over the decades, we started to notice that the ecosystem was dramatically declining. And upon analysis, we realized that removing the wolves had a huge domino impact on that ecosystem. So in the 1990s, a decision was made to reintroduce the wolf to the Yellowstone ecosystem. And what that did was that started a trophic cascade that we could not have anticipated. And so now we see a Yellowstone ecosystem that is much more healthier than it was just 10 or 15 years ago. And this is what ecology does for us. It allows us to go in, analyze these aspects of the ecosystem, and then make good decisions about how to manage those ecosystems. So today what we're going to do is we're going to learn how we gather data, how we look at one or two different ecosystems, how we make comparisons of those ecosystems, and we're going to look at what can that data tell us, what decisions can we make about that data, and what those decisions will have on the impact of the future of that ecosystem.